You ever had a situation where something you're doing breaks, something doesn't go right? Well, instantly when that happens for me, what I always think is, I must have done something wrong. I always assume I am the problem. But then, kind of a relief when you find out, oh, it's not me. It was something wrong with it. Well, that's particularly true. Leave that at you. That's a particular problem when it comes to psychology. Because when you get a tool or a technique or some kind of intervention, and then you try it, and it doesn't work for you, again, the first assumption is, I must be the problem. I must be doing something wrong, and that's why it's not working. It's my fault. And what I want to talk about today in this video is maybe it's not. Maybe there's a failure that happens within our psychology, and it's not you that's particularly failing or that did something wrong. So if you want to learn a little bit more about your own psychology and maybe how you're not always to blame, then check out this video. Yoga Psych. Ancient answers for your current problems. Hi, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and welcome back. Welcome back to Yoga Psych. This is, I think of it like kind of the psychology of your spirit. Today I want to talk about psychology. I want to talk about why sometimes our psychology fails us, why sometimes our psychology is broken, and it's not your fault. Well, this topic came to mind because the other day I was working with a gal, and she came in and I was just kind of doing some background, doing some history, and this gal was a mess. She's suicidal, she's depressed, she's barely functioning. She is failing out of her 4th doctoral program, and she can't function. And that's not her at all. She's super high functional, super high achiever, but something's changed. And what changed for her is that she started to get therapy. And everything fell apart after that. So I don't think she's the first. I know she's not the first because I've had many other patients like that. And I want to talk about why. Talk about what's happening that causes us to collapse because of therapy. I know that sounds weird. Therapy's here to help us. Therapy's here to make us better, to improve our lives. But sometimes it doesn't quite work that way. So I'm going to switch to another patient because this has happened many times. I've seen this in many different situations. So let me talk to you about Wendy, because they're Wendy. I know her full story and I know how this story ends. So it's going to be a good story. But Wendy comes in and she's a mess. She's depressed. She's suicidal, just like this other client I was talking about. Can't function, doesn't have her life together. She's failing her job. She's looking like she may get fired or terminated. And she's not handling life. And what's really odd and really weird is this lady is a highly successful lady. She's a PhD professor at a university. She's got at least 2 master's degrees. And I think she has like 3 different black belt degrees. She is a high achiever, go-getter, boom, 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 make things happen. And yet her life is falling apart. She's suicidal at least once a week. She's just not able to get to her work. She's not able to do her job. And that's why she's failing out of work. And I think, what is going on? What takes somebody from that high level of success to collapse? Well, what happened with her is that she was severely, severely abused as a child. Physical, sexual abuse. She remembers being raped and molested and physically beaten by her dad from like an age of 6. Just horrific, horrific abuse. And that was what it was. It was terrible. But then she went into therapy. And she started doing some EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And what the EMDR was doing was it was bringing up all these feelings, all these traumatic events, all these painful circumstances for her. And again, the hope always is with EMDR or any kind of therapy is to help her get through it, help her kind of work through this pain of her past. And what was happening was it was overwhelming her, and she was decompensating and falling apart. Well, first thing I wanted to do was figure out, is this guy, whoever's her therapist, is he doing the EMDR right? Because that's not the norm. That shouldn't normally be happening. And as I kind of ask her about what goes on and describe, the process, he seems to be doing his job. He seems to be doing what the protocol requires. But she's decompensating. She's falling apart. Well, the key issue, the key problem for her, and I think it's the key problem in psychology in general, is in psychology we have a belief, and it's kind of a way we see the world. This is ordinary psychology, and it's true for any kind of psychology, cognitive, DBT, EMDR, whatever. It doesn't matter. All psychology has the same root belief, and the root belief is you are your past. You are your feelings. You are your thoughts. You're your actions. You're all of that. And the idea is in therapy, we want to help you work through that, improve that, better that, so we can make a better you. But the bottom line is that this is you. This is all you. And we got to help you. Well, in this particular case, and in the case of the gal I first talked about, that wasn't working. In fact, that was causing more problems. Because by asking my patients to identify with their pain, it does two things. One, it overwhelms their nervous system because now this pain is who they are. And two, what that does is it really prevents change. It really stops us from changing. Because if you're a tree, how are you going to be anything different than a tree? That's just who you are. And so if I'm depressed, it's really hard to get undepressed because depressed is who I am. Depressed is what I am. And that's what was happening in these cases. So I see it happening a lot in the betrayal trauma that I treat in my office as well, where people begin to identify themselves with their pain. And that's not helpful. It's not useful. It actually causes them more problems. Yoga psychology does something different. In fact, the first consideration in yoga psychology is the opposite. The first consideration of yoga psychology is that you are not your pain. You're not your past. You're not your problems. You're not your emotions. You're not your thoughts. You're not all those behaviors. None of that is truly who you are. And by disconnecting, by dissociating yourself from all these different problems, it does two things. One, it helps decrease the amount of pain and trauma that you're going through because you're not identifying with that pain and trauma. That is not who you are. And two, it actually allows you to begin to change. Because if I'm not a tree and I'm the gardener, now I can actually do something to help that tree. But if I am my pain, if I am depressed, if that's who I am, how do I stop? How do I not be something that I am? And so that's one of the first things we look at yoga psychology is helping you begin to differentiate. In yoga terms, there's an actual style of yoga called Ana Yoga, and you've heard me talk about it before. Ana Yoga is a yoga of the mind, thinking. And it really is all about helping you discern who you are and who you're not. And who you're not is this. This is not you. You're a spirit. You're a perfect consciousness. You're in many ways, divine and pure energy, love, consciousness, whatever we want to call it. This body, these are cells. This is an organism that holds your spirit for now. And this organism can be damaged. I can break my arm. I can break my emotions. I can break my heart. I can break my mind. But my spirit? No. It's not broken, nor can it be broken. So as I'm working with Wendy, this is the first thing we begin to work on, is beginning to help her understand she has trauma. Probably some of the worst trauma I've ever seen. It's bad. It's painful. It's terrible, awful trauma. But it's not her. The little girl that went through that pain at 6 years old is not her today. It's not who she is today. It's not who she is right now. Does she carry the scars? Does she carry the wounds? Does she carry the pain of that 6-year-old little girl? Absolutely. But she has to begin to learn to differentiate, to distinguish between her pain, her emotions, her thoughts, her behaviors, her past, and who she is right here, right now. Well, again, like I said at the very beginning, I love this story because I know the end of the story. We started working and it really wasn't much into it that she started to change. And now I think she's 2 years out of therapy and she is thriving again. She's now working for the president of the university that she was at. Man, her job has just improved tenfold. She's not looking at getting fired or terminated. She's getting promotions and promotions. Her family is growing. She's loving her children. She's loving her home life. She's thriving. She's probably lost about 40 pounds. She's happy. She's joyful when she comes to work every day. Why? Because she helped remember who she truly was. And happy is who she truly is. And it's who you truly are. And that's why it's so important for me to help you remember the truth of who you are. Because it's only in remembering the truth of who you are. In Ana Yoga, it's called right understanding. It's only in having right understanding that you can begin this journey and begin to make the changes that you need and want to make. I hope you like this video. If you like it, like it. If you want to learn more, subscribe. And check out our website as well, yogapsych.com. Again, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink. And I'll talk to you soon. Hey, I haven't told you yet, make sure you go to yogapsych.com because that's where you're going to find these ancient answers for your current problems. Take care.